now I'm going to go to Megan Uotila, VP Instructional Technology, Classlink. Super excited to have you share with the Washingtonians, the Virginians, and the West Virginians, so that we can record you and share out to everyone everywhere. I know so much is happening with you guys. It's so exciting. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. So share away. I'm going to go off camera and then come back on for our next speaker.
All right, great. Well, welcome everybody. Hello, my name is Megan with Classlink. It's an absolute pleasure to present at these Learning Council events. I find them so enjoyable and informative. And there were many things that Maury shared that I thought were extremely valuable, where Classlink kind of touches on and can build on some of those concepts, specifically talking about efficiency and moving between hybrid, having these hybrid learning settings and supporting teachers, making things easier for teachers, kind of navigating this cultural shift. We spend a lot of time at Classlink looking at that and exploring that and reviewing data about that. And so we'll talk a lot today about data and analytics and being able to see what students and staff are using, because, as Maury so, eloquently stated, this has been quite remarkable what everyone has endured in the past 18 months. So a little bit about Classlink as a company. If you're not familiar with us, we are by no stretch new to the EdTech space. We have been serving K through 12 for over 23 years. I myself have been with Classlink for 10 years, so quite some time. And I just, love this organization and our leadership and the work that we do. And just to give you an idea how large we are and how much we've expanded, we have at Classlink over 16 million users logging into our platform every single day. We're global, although primarily here in the United States. We have statewide deployments. We have over 6,000 single sign-on connectors. We custom build whatever integration you need. So whatever your heart can dream up, if there is a URL that you need to link to or a website that you need your students or your staff to have access to without requiring a login, Classlink has the technology to support and create that. So I work specifically in Virginia. So some of the other states that are on this call, I would not be your dedicated rep, but for those here that are in Virginia, this is a small snapshot of some of the customers that we currently support in this awesome state. We're very proud partners with all of these institutions here. And then we have slides for some of the other states, but I was a little late to the show today, so I didn't get those together. My apologies. So in short, if you are not familiar with Classlink and the work that we do, just know that we are quite a robust tool. So we provide single sign-on. So we talked about interoperability in Maury's presentation and the importance of having your systems talk to each other and bringing Megan, on. Yeah.
We're not seeing your screen. Can you reshare to make sure we're seeing the right screen?
Oh my, okay. Thank you. Let's see, where am I here? So we gotta share.
Should be down a little green.
There we go.
Yeah. Are you sharing a second screen? I always just share second screen.
Boom. All right. Well.
Oh, awesome. Now we see it. Okay, good. I'm good.
Thank you for catching that. Yeah. Always fun when that happens. Anyways, so you're aware of what we do here at Classlink. We support single sign-on. So as we talk about interoperability, the importance of students and staff not having to log in to all of the platforms and systems that you offer and you support. That is just absolutely imperative. And we make it so simple with our single sign-on that when you open your device or you log in for the first time, that is your login into Classlink. That launches your portal, that launches all of your resources. And then we can overlay multi-factor on top of that for additional security for different profiles and groups, which I'll talk to today. If there's anyone on the call today thinking about multi-factor and insurance and cybersecurity, that is another conversation to be had that we can talk in depth about later. But we're at the head of that conversation with all of our customers, with lots of different options there. Also, when talking about interoperability, there comes the discussion of rostering. So how do we get the data from your student information system to all your partners? How do we do that safely and securely? How do we make sure your students have access to their applications immediately, right? Once they hit the student information system or a staff hits the HR system, you need them to not only be able to log into their devices, but they need to have access to their tools. So we automate that, as well as automate their credentials to log into their devices. So they can have their Google credential or their Active Directory credential within seconds with Classlink. Again, fully automated based on data entry into your student information system or your source data. Now, as you can imagine, these portals will house hundreds of applications, thousands of applications for our customers. Any digital destination goes within Classlink. Now, we then in turn give you usage analytics, and we'll tell you how often these tools are being used, if they've been clicked on, if they've been open. We have algorithms built in that track engagement within the resources too. So how long are your students and staff open and active in those tools? We also have a solution that overlays activity that happens from within Classlink and will overlay activity happening on all of your district-owned devices. So if a student or staff goes to Google Classroom and they bypass the Classlink portal, we'll capture that. Not only that they've logged in, but how long they were active and engaged. So as you're working with your teachers and you're looking for accountability for students that, at home, or you're looking at purchasing applications or renewals, or there's all of this funding this year and next, and there's going to be a lot of purchasing of new and different resources, you are going to need some sort of long-term plan and strategy to determine, are we getting a return on investment for these purchases? What are we using? What are we not using? What can we scrap? You need real-time data. It needs to be non-biased, and it needs to be reliable and readily available to people in multiple different leadership positions, and Classlink can provide that. We have a portal for your parents. So now parents are more active and engaged in, their students learning, especially in these hybrid models and at home. And I'm speaking from experience here. So you need to, have resources readily available for parents. You need to provide single sign-on to parents, all of these things. And we have a tool for that, as well as a public portal. So a community-facing page where all of your resources are listed. So the general community can go in and see, wow, this is all the great tools and applications being used in Loudoun County or Roanoke County, or wherever you may live. All right, so let me show you enough talk, and let me give you a little tour of what Classlink actually looks like. So what's really neat about Classlink is we dramatically simplify the login process. So you will have a landing page that's designed and branded for you. However, we integrate with your devices. So if you have a Windows device or a Chromebook, we can actually take ownership of those devices, and you can authenticate into Classlink and that device using a quick card, using your Google credentials or your Active Directory credentials. But important to note, it's just one login. With Classlink, we track logins and we track clicks. How can we greatly eliminate how many clicks it takes you to get to IXL or to get to whatever the particular application is? So we want it to be one click. So you log in, QR code, or however you're logging into that particular device, automatically your portal pulls up with, voila, all of the resources that you need. How these resources appear are based on rostering. So we're sending data from PowerSchool or whatever your student information system may be. And those icons just auto appear onto the pages of the students and staff needing that particular resource. And then we are federating single sign-on behind the scenes using a multitude of different authentication methods. So with Classlink, it's not like we only support SAML or we only support this or that. We will work with all of the different technology methods to build those connectors for you. So there's never a distribution of credentials. You just click on whatever that particular application is, and we log in. So it's simple. You can go in and personalize Classlink really easily. So the end user, student or staff, can go in and add to their own Classlink experience. As a school district, you might want to allocate recommended resources. You might want to create custom libraries. You might want to go in and vet these resources for data privacy and security, whatever your regulations are, for COPPA compliance, for whatever your strategic plan is at your school district. You might want to group these applications and make recommendations. Just know that we support that. You can build into these libraries and put resources in there for students and staff that they can add to Classlink from. And they can put in requests. As I mentioned, any digital destination, whether it's education focused or not, we can build in to this tool for you. So lunch menus, bus schedules, employees might see their human resources information. But again, all these portals are different. They're unique. And you're only seeing what you need to see. So as a student, I would never see, the HR system or whatever that may be. So Maury talked about analytics and the importance of data. So we have analytics built throughout the system at multiple different levels. The first of which is for teachers, whereas teachers can see analytics for their students. So this can be very complementary to a learning management system, for example, because you can actually go into your classes as a teacher, and students can also go into their classes and they have a snapshot of their course schedule, and they can see the single sign-on connectors for the applications they need per that course. So again, you need, when we're talking about interoperability, to partner with resources that can provide single sign-on, and then Classlink will build that connection and put that icon where you need it to go. And then within these resources, I can see, have my students logged in that day. So I can go and I can look and say, all right, we're in, a hybrid learning environment, and, I'm not seeing my students on Friday, but I need to make sure that they're all logging in on Friday. And here I can see this was a virtual day and everybody logged in except for Gina and Kobe. So teachers need to see this. And we take it one step further, where you can actually see not only has the student logged in, but how much time has that student spent in their resources. So this is critical. So, they might be spending some time in Khan Academy and iExcel and Canvas or Seesaw, and you need to be able to, as a teacher, go and, for accountability purposes, at a glance, make sure that your students were where they needed to be on that particular day. And Classlink can provide teachers with that data. So we call these heat maps, and the darker the hue means the more time spent in those resources. And this is just the visibility that we provide to teachers. Know that we can provide these heat maps to people at leadership level as well, where you can see these identical heat maps for all your students, for all your teachers, for any profile in the district. Not only have they logged into their resources, but how much time have they spent in those resources, and what are those resources? So this is a nice segue to talking about our analytics that you can see at the district level. Of course, this environment can be separated, and you can give out portions of admin level access to analytics to a principal or to your ITRTs, or people in coaching positions working with teachers can all see analytics. So this data is one that we're collecting on a very large customer of ours in Florida. It's been anonymized with their permission. So we're just kind of giving you a semi-real view into what's going on there. And the great thing about having data at your fingertips is it can really help you when you're kind of looking at your digital ecosystem and looking at supporting students and staff. You need to know, like, what are they using and with what frequency, and gathering these data points. They need to be in real time. They need to be non-biased, and they all need to match, right? They need to be uniform across all your platforms. So we can provide that to you. So here in this district, we can tell that today or this week that 83% of their users have logged in. I can see historical data. So again, looking back at this year compared to last year, compared to years prior, it's been really exciting to see the growth and evolution of digital teaching and learning in all of the school systems that Classlink supports. I can see how many applications have been launched. So, I mean, this is total apps launched. They're looking at over 4,000 individual applications. So to give you an idea, the just grand scale of how many resources can live in Classlink, it's quite staggering what we can build and create for you and with you, and what we already have. We already have a bank of 6,000, but we'll create any link, any single sign-on connector for you. Here I can see a snapshot of all of the resources being used across my school district. I can see how often they've been clicked on within a particular date range. So this is for this past month. I can see how much time has been spent in that particular tool. So not only has it been open, but how long are teachers and staff engaged in these resources, and looking at that data point. And then also each time they're logging into the resource, how much time are they spending? So you would expect, in your LMS or in some of your publishers, that would be higher than, a different application, for example. I know there has been just this incredible reliance on learning management systems, and a lot of, school districts are really looking to them as the panacea for remote learning, and putting so much effort into professional development and working with teachers. And just getting students using them, and all of this work that's going in to their use. With Classlink, you can even look at the application level and say, all right, well, let's look at just my LMS. Let's look at just students compared to just staff usage. Let's look at my individual buildings and their usage within my LMS. Let's look at all of my recent users, or let's look at my top users and identify who's using the most, the least, and not at all. And those heat maps, you can actually look at just Canvas and see exactly how much time each individual teacher or student has spent in Canvas. So that can be very, very helpful too. Identifying teachers that might need more professional development, and are at risk, getting early intervention in place to help them. We can do that here with our heat maps. I can look at my buildings. So I might want to take a look at my high schools and look at their analytics side by side, one right next to another. How often are students and staff logging in? What are their top applications? How do these applications compare? You may have really high achievement at a particular building or within a particular class, and want to see, like, is there anything that they're using more than their peers, right? So we can give you that data. Again, we have heat maps built in where you can look at all of your buildings and say, all right, what percentage of students and staff in my elementary school are logging in on any given day? And then not only have they logged into Classlink, but how much time are we spending in these applications? So you see, one particular high school spending close to, 3,000 hours in their tools, and another high school that's much less might be spending only a couple hundred hours. And leaders need to be following this. They need to be identifying different groups of individuals that are buildings that need more support, or are having Wi-Fi issues or equity issues, and data can help make those decisions for you. Last but certainly not least is we have cost calculators built in where you can plug in how much you've paid for a particular subscription, how many licenses you've purchased, and then Classlink will run some very insightful numbers for you. We'll calculate how many unique logins you have and compare that to your licenses you've purchased. And then we'll take that cost and we'll give you an actual cost that you're paying per user. So you would really want to say, oh gosh, we have this building that's not using Mickey Mouse math. I make something up because we're all friends here in the vendor world, but Mickey Mouse math, no one's using it at this particular elementary school. Let's either apply more professional development or let's move them on to something else and not pay for this any longer, right? Nobody has limitless funds, and it's very important to keep an eye on your expenses, and Classlink can support that. What's really exciting that we're offering that's new this year is we're going beyond just activity within the Classlink portal. So if anything that you click on anywhere you go with Classlink as that home base, we're capturing that data. Even if we're taking you to Canvas or, whatever the particular resource is, we're still capturing that usage and engagement data, but you have to go through Classlink. The nice thing is if you're on your personal device or your mobile device or, any device, we can capture that data. Now, what we really need, and what's an additional data point that is important to capture is activity that's happening on district-owned devices outside of Classlink. So if you have iPads and if your students are using the native apps, you need to know and be able to calculate that usage. We had a school district that was using Zoom, and then they discovered that all these students and all these staff were redirecting to Google Meet, and that wasn't showing up in their analytics. So we have a tool that overlays our traditional analytics. It is called Analytics Plus, and it captures all engagement and usage data on those district-owned devices. So you can get a complete and solid picture of what students and staff are using, which applications, and where those sessions are coming from. So it's a really exciting tool that was asked for by our customers for many, many years. And the rollout has been great there. Two other things that I'm going to just chat briefly about is rostering. So there are lots of tools out there that can help you with rostering. Classlink integrates with some of those different tools. Classlink even integrates with some competing single sign-on platforms. And one of them you might say, oh, we use, and the name starts with a C also. And just know that we can actually build on their offerings, and it's not an and or, but we can combine forces, so to say, and give you something really cool. With rostering as well, we can roster using open data standards. We support the One Roster open data standard, and we can, again, look at your list of applications and what you need rostering for. And, if for the ones that are not automated, we can take those and we can help streamline that rostering for you and crank it out in less than an hour. And one of the benefits of Classlink's roster server is that you're working with a team. You have a team that's rostering, that has connections and has partnerships with the different vendors. And so you have a live person that remotes into your system and helps you with whether we're pulling in metadata, transforming data, all of the little workarounds that you need for rostering, and all of that support and handholding that is so helpful. That's something that you can get from Classlink. So you can come to us and say, gosh, XYZ application is really, man, we've spent hours and hours on this. It is such a haul, and we need help here, and Classlink can help. We do not charge for rostering integration. So all of our vendor partnerships are at no charge to them. So we support hundreds of partners and thousands of applications, and there is no charge. So we can bring those outliers on board and automate your rostering, and hopefully get students the access that they need more quickly and more efficiently with our tool. Roster server is hosted for you on AWS on a private server. And when we're talking about data privacy and security, just know that the architecture of this system is different than our competitors. So where your data is housed and the security surrounding that architecture is a differentiator for Classlink. And then also that support that you provide and the fact that we are free to publishers and support open data standards. Last but certainly not least is if you have Active Directory credentials, Azure credentials, Google credentials that you need created, and you need your students and staff assigned to different, OU paths and all of this stuff, just know that we have a tool that can automate the provisioning of AD, Google, and Azure and can maintain those directories in their entirety. And that is also included with Classlink. It was designed for K through 12 teaching and learning environments. It is a point and click user interface. So, when you talk about simple to use, this tool does it. And again, the architecture and security of how the system is set up is unique to the industry as well. And the take home for any non-techie folks on the call is when your student is sitting in their chair and they still don't have their Google login or their network login, and it's been like 4 or 5 days, this tool gets them that login in seconds. The second they're entered into the student information system, they can log into their devices. So we can eliminate all of that lag time. Okay, well, that is a wrap for me. LeiLani, any questions, thoughts? Anything that I can share?
I'm watching, making sure if I see any questions, I'll put them in there. I think what's happening right now with schools is they're, like Maury was talking about, they're really struggling with this whole hybrid thing. What are you guys seeing in all the schools that you service, going in, going out, kids on quarantine, back in?
Well, one area that we're really able to help is with rostering and the nuances to rostering teachers teaching in different formats. So they're a virtual teacher here, they're assigned to this building over here. There's that whole virtual and hybrid shift was a nightmare for rostering applications, but we have tools in place. We have been innovating right alongside that can just one by one pick up and solve some of those problems where teachers are assigned to multiple buildings, multiple classes. It's just not black and white. It's, you need help, you need support, you need someone that's like, we have this one-off goofy situation and this teacher needs access to their students in their class and they need it like yesterday. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is it has to be on the fly. Mm-hmm. So you have to have distributed administration. So it's not just some central administrator managing access for every single student in a 40,000 student district. It's distributed, right? Oh yeah. It's at different levels. It's at building levels. We're talking to multiple different people, rostering different platforms. So, that's one of the big hybrid struggles is that piece. And then the analytics is another big one, because you need to know that those students were in those applications. You need to know that they're sitting there, not just staring at their computer, in the corner while mom and dad are working, goofing around. Teachers need to have accountability and they need to have those numbers to bring with them when they have these parent teacher conferences. Yeah. Joey was actually not logged in at all today, right? Or he was, it's important to have. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the big things now. Well, good. Well, this was really informative. Thank you so much for that.